Hey everybody, so Ramsey here, and this is going to be the November wrap-up and December TBR. As you can tell, I didn't accomplish my goals. Well, I did okay, but I made a ridiculous TBR for November, so now I'm going to keep all of this and add like a couple books to it. So let's go over what I actually did read. I will put a link in the description for last month's TBR if you want to check that video out, see what my ridiculous plan was. It's stacked up off the screen. For those of you who don't know, usually I put my TBR right here. Kind of gives you an idea as I film videos through the month, as books start disappearing, what I'm either reading or what I've finished reading. So here is the stack of books that I own that I finished this month, and we'll talk about them. And then I read a couple on Kindle and a few audiobooks. So let's jump right in. All right, so first up, The Vanishing Half by Britt Bennett. One that I didn't really plan on. It was a hold as an audiobook from my library. I liked the first part, and then like when the two sisters are doing their thing. So The Vanishing Half is about two sisters, two twins, that grew up in the 1960s up until pretty close to modern day. And they were the children of mixed parents. And basically the idea of the town that they lived in, a town called Mallard in Louisiana, the founder of the town was a son of a slave and the master of the plantation, I guess. So he was half white, half black. And then he made his town to be all people of mixed race. Everybody in the town was very light-skinned. Some of them passed for white. So one sister passed for white and one sister stayed black. And they married two different men, and they had two very different lives, and they separated right around 18, I believe. And then you go into the story of their daughters' lives as well. So I really enjoyed the two twin sisters' story and what they were going through, but when it went into their daughter's story, I didn't enjoy it as much. I don't know. I guess I connected with the two sisters a bunch, and then by the time it got into the daughters, I didn't really connect with them. Where I really enjoyed the beginning, and by the end of it, I was just like, eh. So I gave it 3 stars. Next one I listened to, also an audiobook, was The Last Wish by Andrzej Sapkowski, if I'm saying that correctly. First book in the Witcher series. This is a bunch of short stories. Really gives you, like, if you watch the show, this is mostly what they used, and then they used the next book a little bit as well for the first season of The Witcher. I had read the first short story way back when. And then I set it down, not because I didn't want to read it. I just had so many other things that I was reading. And this is one of those ones where it was interesting, but I didn't like fall in love with it. And so it was a whole lot easier to digest as an audiobook too. Unfortunately, my library only has this one as an audiobook. So hopefully the Sword of Destiny I can get through. I have it. I'm just waiting to read it. I don't know. Sometime in 2021 I'll keep working on the series. But I love these video game covers because The Witcher 3 is a fantastic and fun game. And I'd like to get all of these with the video game covers. I know not everybody likes that kind of thing. You know, I've seen some of the other covers that they've done recently. But I found the video game covers the most fun, personally. Next, we have Fearless by Jack Campbell. This is book 2 in the Lost Fleet series. If you join the Discord down in the description, we are doing a read-along on this one. Book 3 starts tomorrow, which is the 1st of December. We are having such a good time with this one. Book 2 was fantastic. The space battles were great. The interplay between characters. We meet some new characters who do some crazy things. Power struggles, politics, a little bit of love. Man, these are so much fun. I'm so excited to get to book 3. I am literally going to start it first thing tomorrow when I have some time, as soon as I can. I'm so excited to start book 3 on this series. All right, so the 4th book that I read this month was The Titan's Curse. This is book 3 in the Percy Jackson series. Trying to go ahead and get through all 5 of these, but I'm going to wait on book 4 until book 3 of the Harry Potter series comes into my library. I am trying to read them as far as I can up to the 5th book, kind of together. Just really want to compare them a little bit more. I did a video, I'll link it if you want to watch, kind of my thoughts on Percy Jackson versus Harry Potter. Enjoying this series quite a bit, and I thought it was a whole lot of fun. Meet new and interesting characters, learn some more about the big 3 and their children, yeah, I liked it. I liked it a lot. I think I gave it 4 stars. All right, next book is The Shining. This is the 5th book that I read this month, and I did a review on it. I will link it also above. This one is a ton of fun. It digs deep into alcoholism, haunting, the idea of like ESP, kind of interesting ways to tell a story. King does an amazing job with characters, and even taking 3 characters and isolating them by themselves, you learn so much about them through inner dialogue, the way that they interact with the world and one another. Really cool. And he makes you hate wasps even more than I already do, because wasps are demon spawn. So finally got around to reading this book, and I am so glad that I did. There is a twist in this one. We deal with White Court vampire politics, which Thomas, who is a character that we've known through the series a little bit, kind of meet him the first time in book 3, I believe. Maybe book. I think we meet him the first time in book 3. That we learn a little bit more about him in book 4 and book 5, and then we get a whole story with his kind of storyline in book 6. So Thomas is cool. I've always kind of liked Thomas anyway. He's kind of a debonair kind of guy, and then learning more about him through this one, and how Harry deals with it. He is tasked to do something. Thankfully, it doesn't go explicit. He is tasked to find out who's trying to kill somebody on a pornographic movie set. But they don't really talk about any of that going on. It's kind of like a backdoor innuendo where they're like, oh yeah, this is what's going on here. And the way it was handled, it's as clean as it could be based on the source material. I was impressed, and I had a couple chuckles. It was funny. It was good. Like all the Dresden Files books, it was a good romp, and I can't wait to get to book 7, which is it listed in here? I don't know if it is or not. Book 7. I will find it on the internet and tell you what it is. I might even put it right here. Next, we had the fun, awesome One Piece Volume 3. We have the end of Buggy the Clown, and the start of a new bad guy. I think a new crew member in this one as well. We haven't for sure stated that one, but I looked at the cover of book 5, and that person is in book 5, so I'm thinking we get a new crew member as well. In the middle of book 4 right now, and enjoying this. I'll probably do a video on the 1 through 5 when I get there. Do an Animation Station video on 1 through 5. I need to do one on Berserk as well. I read the volume 1. I don't know if you can guys. I don't know if it's in the screen right now, but volume 1 Berserk I want to go over as well. Kind of maybe I'll even do like a reading order for Berserk, because that's my favorite manga and I love it. It's a lot of fun. But One Piece is great too. I didn't mean to go off on a Berserk rant. All right, and then the next one I read was not my first Terry Pratchett book, but my first Discworld book. When we went to Colorado, this is the Shining bookmark. 80 cents for a Shining bookmark. But my first Discworld book. This is the first in the Death series. I think this is the 4th one that he wrote. Death takes an apprentice, and then he kind of takes some time to himself. Um, and it's interesting. I liked the way that it went. I kind of wish it ended a different way, but I can see where it made sense that it ended the way that it did. I want to keep going. I've got probably 10 more Discworld books, and I may go ahead and start at the very, very beginning and do the Color of Magic. But Mort was a fun place to start. Just the other day, I finished Dawnshard. That was on my Kindle, which I placed somewhere around here. I don't have it with me. But Dawnshard is a novella. Try to read it before Rhythm of War. Kind of started reading it the same time I started reading Rhythm of War, on the day that Rhythm of War came out. And then what I did is I put Rhythm of War down for a little bit, focused heavy on Dawnshard to get it done. And then I went ahead and did the Crimson campaign as well. It was on audiobook, and I was just really interested in that series, the Powder Mages, the way that they interacted, and had a great time with book 2. I might do a review on it. It'll have spoilers in it, so probably not a lot of people will watch it. But book 2, so you've got really 3 big main characters. You've got Adamat, you've got Taniel, and you've got Tamis. Well, Tamis is out on his own. He's stranded behind enemy lines. Taniel, after thinking he killed a god, is in a coma, and then gets addicted to basically their version of heroin. He has to drag himself out of that. He gets Guy basically comes to him and says, "Hey, I'd really like you to be my vice president." And then he goes and does a bunch of stuff. Taniel's story was my favorite. Tamis, his whole storyline, I enjoyed it, but it was a little bit of a drag. And then Adamat's storyline, you never knew what was going to happen with Adamat. He was dealing with some political back dealings, bad people. Man, Adamat had a really crazy. I'm surprised Adamat didn't die in this book. But yeah, I really enjoyed the Crimson campaign. Even though Tamis's section kind of dragged a little bit, Adamat and Taniel's story was fantastic. Loved it. So that's everything I read this month, completely finished. Now, things that I have currently going still, we're looking at The Shadow of What Was Lost. I borrowed that from the library. I'm about halfway done there. Rhythm of War. I was doing a chapter a day, and I took a break to finish Dawnshard, but Dawnshard's done now, so we'll jump back onto a chapter a day. I don't know if I can hold myself to that. Sanderson books are hard to not just go ahead and read. But I have a couple of things I need to finish, and things that I have buddy reads going that I really want to get to. Yeah, so Rhythm of War, it may be one of those things where I don't listen to myself and do 5 chapters a day, then 10 chapters a day, and then, oh shucks, I just read half the book in 2 days. Dreamer's Pool, I've been really, really working on it. I went from 40% to 60% this month. It's getting interesting. It took a long time, though, to get to the actual mystery that we were going to try to solve. The one that you get in the blurb, hey, Blackthorn's going to do this, 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 and this. And you're like, okay, cool. Yeah, I figured that happened maybe the first 30% of the book. Well, we're at 60% mark, and now we're finally getting there. It took a lot of time building character. Probably the way it would really happen if this scenario had to happen in, back in the day. Blackthorn had to come to town. She had to get to know everybody in town. She had to establish a base of operations. She had to do all these things, and then finally the prince was willing to bring his troubles to her. I kind of thought it would be, within the first 8 to 10 chapters, we'd start working on this mystery, and then we'd spend a bunch of time solving the mystery. Not so much. It's one of those. But enjoying it. It's definitely not going to be my favorite book ever, but I'm glad that I've read it so far. I know. My mom really, really enjoyed it. I don't know how she enjoyed book 2, because I said we were going to do this read along, and she devoured book 1, and I think she even bought book 2 on the Kindle, that we kind of share a Kindle account. So I know she really enjoyed it. I don't know if she enjoyed book 2 because she never went and bought book 3. So I don't know. We'll see. The series is interesting so far for me. I would definitely want to finish it. I like Blackthorn and Grimm. Not a big fan of Prince Orin. He's not my favorite, but I do like Blackthorn and Grimm. So, all right. Godstock, working on book 1 in the Godstock Chronicles. It's about a assassin, sorta thief, sorta. She's trying to find her way in a very confusing town. And then Vile Artistry was given to me by June Chevalier. I believe I'm saying that right. And I am enjoying the book so far. I'm kind of getting past that initial introduce you to the world stage and kind of learning more about her ability, why she is doing what she's doing. It doesn't feel like she can control it at this point. And that's kind of neat, kind of exciting. And then Edge of Valor I read none of this month. Everything else just kind of took primary focus. I think me and Unity 151 were reading that one. It's a really good breakdown of like combat, like what our military does in combat, like how they move forward, how they engage the enemy, how they do, and I was really, really enjoying that. Just so many other things got in the way. It's not that I don't enjoy the book, I just had too many things on my plate. So that's why I'm not going to add a ton to the TBR. I'm just going to add a couple books that are part of read-alongs that I need to get to. And one book that Scott from Book Invasion told me I need to read, and I saw it at my library, so I'm going to read it. And then One Piece 4. I'll probably have that finished the next day or so, and then I'll read One Piece 5, so we can do that Animation Station video. All right, so let's jump into the stuff we are adding to this TBR that's already up here. So, recap, we have Dreamer's Pool. We talked about that down in Discord. You got the link. Children of Dune, trying to finish a series. That's kind of the reason I jumped back into the Powder Mage trilogy, because I want to finish series. I believe this is the last one that I read when I was a teenager. So getting a recap on this one and seeing what we can do there. Trigun 4, enjoying the Trigun. I read the Omnibus, if you remember back in a Animation Station episode from a while ago. This is so much fun to go through. It's, gun battles in space, and Vash the Stampede is kind of cyborg, kind of not. A lot of fun. Magpie Coffin, I've been trying to read forever. Red Rising, been trying to read forever. Hopefully these authors never watch my videos, because they'll be so disappointed in the fact that I just keep them on my TBR just forever. I'm like, hey, I'm gonna read this, and I don't. Shorefall, read book 1, enjoyed it, got the actual arc from NetGalley, and still haven't read it because I suck. Wizard and Glass, I was trying to do a book a month in the Dark Tower series, and I'm a slacker. I just couldn't get through everything this month. I feel like I hit a roadblock somewhere. And then finally, the Comic Mouse. I talked about this one. This is a cartoonist kind of wrote down his father or grandfather's story when he was in a concentration camp in Nazi Germany, and he did it in a cartoony style with cats and mice. And Jen from Remembered Reads told me this was fantastic, and I really, really want to get to it. It's a 2-part series, and I know where I can get part 2. I found it at Half Price Books, so I wanted to read part 1 before I jumped into part 2, but I can find part 2, and I'm excited, if this is good, to read part 2 right after I read this one. So there we go. We got Mouse, book 1 in the TBR. We have Wizard and Glass re-added. Definitely getting to it this month because I am very much enjoying this series. Shorefall. Hope I get to it. I'm not holding my breath, though. We're doing Magpie Coffin and Red Rising this month. I can't not get to them. I've been trying so far, so long, and so hard to get to these 2 books. I am going to read them this month, I promise. Again, Trigun Maximum. I'm going to knock it out soon, hopefully. And Children of Dune and Dreamer's Pool. So let's add the new stuff to the TBR. I didn't add much because I really, really want to finish my TBR from November and start January with a clean slate. Book Volume 4 and Volume 5. Oh, well, I can't show you the back. Volume 4 and Volume 5, One Piece. Knock them out. They will be with Dragon. And then continuing The Shadow of What Was Lost. I'm really enjoying this book, by the way. It is a fun look into different magical powers in the same universe, and that is a lot of fun. And then Godstock Chronicles. This is 2 books in one, but I'm halfway done with book 1, and then I'll probably send it back to the library for a while, and then pick up book 2 after I've recovered a bit from TBR overexertion that I am currently in the middle of. I think it was like that when you go to a buffet, which 2020's ruined buffets for everybody. But when you go to a buffet and you're like, man, I want that, 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 and you can't eat it all, and you end up, handing back a plate full of food to the lady, and she's like, you're not supposed to waste the food, and she doesn't talk like that, but it's hard when you're like, I just wanted so much, I wanted to enjoy all these things, and my lack of patience makes me create these giant TBRs that I can never accomplish. All right, so what did I say I was adding? Okay, adding 1776 by David McCullough. This is the first book for the Presidential Read-Along. Presidential Read-Along doesn't actually start until January, but if people want to get started and want to check out a couple things, I was inspired to do the Presidential Read-Along by the Hamilton biography that I read earlier this year, or maybe even last year. And that, the same author that did that one wrote the Grant biography. Ron Chernow, the guy that wrote the Hamilton biography, wrote the Grant biography, and I was amazed. It was wonderful. And so I said, I'll start with 1776 because I found this at a Goodwill. And then once a month or once every 6 weeks, we'll do a different president until we make it through all of them, and then if people wanted to jump in and out, we could do that. The link is in the Discord. I put a message in there today saying, hey, excited to start with you guys. If you are just a Thomas Jefferson fan or wanted to learn about him or, whatever, jump in then and then hop back out. It's no big deal. I'm going to try to read every presidential biography. You guys don't have to do it. But I'd love for you guys to join us in and out through the thing. Some people may just be a Thomas Jefferson fan or a Abraham Lincoln fan or a Franklin Delano Roosevelt fan or a Kennedy fan. So I just want to create conversation, and I've heard this book is good. It won a Pulitzer Surprise. But also, if you want to read Hamilton, I read it, and I'd love to talk to you about it. It's long. It really is long. This one is a lot more manageable. And then, in January, we start George Washington. Before I started learning a little bit about him, which I have, I had no idea he had so many skeletons in his closet. And so we'll learn a lot about these founding fathers and the early presidents and the turn of the century presidents. And so excited to do that. I'm very excited for it. And so one other thing that I've got that's adding a couple things to my TBR is when I asked for audiobooks through my library app. I'm using Libby and Hoopla currently. Sometimes it gives you some stuff. So I should have these books come through this month. The Color of Law, which is about the housing segregation in the United States, kind of how that was set up, and how we might defeat it. The Fifth Season by N.K. Jemisin. The Evening and the Morning by Ken Follett, kind of a prequel to The Pillars of the Earth. Quantum Shadows by Ellie Modesitt. I really am excited about reading this one. I requested it from NetGalley and never got it. And then The Count of Monte Cristo should come in this month. All these audiobooks. The Fifth Season, The Evening and the Morning, Quantum Shadows, The Count of Monte Cristo, and The Color of Law. And then Scott from Book Invasion said, you really should check out Hollow Kingdom. He raves about it. And I'm also going to read it. And then I'm going to finish the Powder Mage trilogy, The Autumn Republic. Who knows if I'll get to all of them, but I'm excited for it. It's a lot But I mean, we have 1, 2, 3 manga. Um, almost, I'm more than halfway down the Dreamers pool. So, and then we've got a graphic novel here in Mouse. So I don't know. I could probably make it. We'll see. I'd love to have a clean, fresh slate for going into 2021 January. Get 2020 that bad taste out of my mouth and start over. So yeah, please subscribe to the channel, and I will be posting reviews for some of these books. Any of them that I finish, I post them on Goodreads, and I do sometimes just a short little couple words in a review. Sometimes, but I always write something. So if you want to check out my Goodreads, sometimes I just write like a funny joke thing in there saying, "Yeah, this was okay." Sometimes I actually write a good review, like I did with The Stand, or It. I wrote a big long review for It. So yeah, thanks guys. I will see you in the next video.